Take a video game character. Put them in water. Boom! Splash! Everything instantly gets slower and floatier, and the soundtrack switches to lo-fi underwater beats to drown to. Breathy pet? Check. Dreamy synth swells? Check. And those random arpeggios that make you feel like you drifting through a 1998 screensaver? Absolutely check. This pattern is way too consistent to ignore. So why does water level music always sound like this? Why does every franchise across decades and consoles shift into this subdued, rippling, slightly mysterious musical mood the second you're submerged? Maybe the music's so calm because these levels are the most rage-inducing parts of the entire game. Or maybe there's a lot more going on here. Let's dive in. That's a 1. We'll try to keep it under 10. So first things first, water changes the rules of the game, literally. Everything becomes weird and floaty. Attacks take longer. Knockback behaves differently. Movement has lag. And suddenly oxygen, something you never think about on land, becomes a resource. The music has to communicate all of that instantly, before you even notice the bubbles. So that's why composers all reach for the same little toolkit. Soft pads, slow attacks, rising and falling arpeggios, and harmonies that drift between major and minor so smoothly you're not sure if you should relax or worry. Technically, that's a modal mixture and filter timbres. Practically it's, why am I calm but also kinda afraid? But that's only half the story. Because the moment an oxygen meter pops on a screen, yeah, the music snaps straight into panic mode. The calm vibe evaporates, the tempo spikes, and suddenly you're counting the beats like your life depends on it. Because it does. That contrast, drifting calm into instant panic, is the whole trick. Underwater music is always pulling you between two moods at once. To see how composers manage to bottle that feeling, we need to go back to the shallow end, where underwater music first began. Let's rewind. Okay, not that far. Start with Super Mario Bros. On land, Mario's theme is punchy, forward-driving 404, the kind of rhythm that makes you wanna stomp a Goomba. But underwater, Mario suddenly breaks into a waltz. A soft little bounce 2-3, bounce 2-3. It's a triple meter, nothing fancy. But it instantly changes the physics in your brain. Nintendo is basically handing you a pool noodle and saying, stop running, start drifting. Mario invented the water waltz. But Nintendo games in the 90s, they invented the wet aesthetic. Those soft pads from aquatic ambience dripped into the mix. Slow attacks, glowing textures, and gentle arpeggios rising and falling like light rippling on a cave wall. So much reverb. And even the reverb has reverb. It's peaceful, but it isn't safe. There's something uneasy underneath. It's like meditation, but in a dark cave, where something might be watching you. That comes from chords that never really settle. A little major, a little minor, a little, are we safe or not? Water feels calm, but dangerous. So the harmony feels calm, but dangerous. Then Mario 64 shows up and says, what if water isn't just slower? What if water is a place? For the first time, water becomes a 3D volume instead of a sluggish 2D obstacle. You drift, you rise, you sink, you hover. So the music layers itself like the water around you. It starts almost empty, one lonely bell drifting in the dark. Then a soft bath, then a warm bass. The deeper you go, the deeper the track sinks with you. It feels calm and nostalgic, but also endless, like you're floating inside someone else's memory. And across generations, every game found its own way to hit that same underwater mood. Mario changes the rhythm so you bop instead of run. Donkey Kong softens the textures until everything feels weightless. Mario 64 opens the space so the music feels deep and emotional. Different tricks, same goal. Water is calm, muffled, flowing, mysterious. So the music matches it beat for beat. The gameplay is floaty and sluggish, and the music follows suit. None of this is random. Every ripple is doing a job. And now that we covered the dreamy half, it's time for the part that every water level eventually hits you with. Underwater, peace can stay peaceful only so long before something decides to ruin your day. Like the fact that you don't have kills. The tempo jumps, the pitch spikes, the rhythm snaps into 5-alarm panic loop that drills into your skull. It's so effective, scientists could probably use it to measure fear in lab rats. On land, danger is an enemy. Underwater, danger eats the clock. And drowning when say clock runs out. Everything underwater slows you down. Movement, attacks, recovery. So the music does the opposite. It speeds up, it sharpens, it brightens. Underwater danger slows everything you're trying to do. So the soundtrack hits you with speed and urgency. Floaty physics versus tight rhythms, muted world versus bright tones. That tug of war is why underwater panic is so instantly recognizable and instantly terrifying. Mario's no nicer about it. Zelda? Same deal. The dreamy textures vanish the moment Link is one bubble away from meeting a golden goddess. Alright, enough panic. Time to calm things down again. Because we can't talk about underwater music without talking about how it's built. And for that, we're gonna refit a little music theory. Don't worry, the water pump counter is officially paused, for obvious reasons. First trip, harmony. Water levels love chords that hover instead of landing, suspended tones, blends of major and minor, shapes that float just out of reach. They feel calm but a little unsure, exactly like underwater movement. Next trip, movement. Real water never sits still, and neither does underwater music. That's where the arpeggios come in. Those rising, falling patterns looping under the melody. Instant. Yep, we're underwater signal. Another trip. Texture. Water muffles sound in real life, so underwater track get earmuffs on purpose. Low pass filters, soft attacks, paths that swell and fade like they're dissolving. It's warm, distant, cushioned, like hearing the world through a liquid blanket. Trip 4. Ambience. Different water get different palettes. Tropical water gets bright percussion. Sacred pools shimmer with bells and flutes. Deep trenches go heavy and sparse. Your ear knows the vibe before the HUD does. Trip 5. Space. Small ripples feel soothing. White paths feel like open ocean. Sparse textures feel deep and heavy. Glassy tones feel mysterious or sacred. The track decides the size of the water before you ever dive. Trip 6. Hardware. Old consoles had tiny sound chips, so underwater tricks were simple but clever. So, Super Nintendo added warmth. The Nintendo 64 added space and reverb. Modern consoles give you entire underwater soundscapes you could practically snorkel in. Final trip, the constants. Unresolved chords float. Filters create the muffled underwater vibe. Arpeggios ripple. Pads calm you down. Bright tones warn you. Reverb sells the whole ocean. And congratulations, you've been decoding all of that your entire gaming life without even realizing it. Almost like you were brainwashed. Okay, quick story recap. Nintendo water tracks, tiny sound chips, big signals, like Mario's underwater thing, waltz plus bubbles. You're underwater now. Super Nintendo shows up with feelings. Cue aquatic ambience, paths, drift, mystery. Nintendo 64 adds depth, literally. Mario 64 turns water into a place that feels endless. Handhelds shrink it into pocket oceans. Ever notice how Pokemon's dive things do a lot with a little? Modern games blow it back out. Take for example Wind Waker Seas, Sora Pools, full underwater sound design. Different decades, different hardware, same idea every time. Change the physics and the music changes the feeling. So yeah, that's why water level music sounds the way it does. It's not just a trope, it's physics, emotion, and music design all swimming in the same direction. Yay, we keep it under 10! And now that you know the tricks, good luck not hearing them the next time you go underwater in Mario, Sonic, Zelda, or anything with bubbles. If you like this breakdown, we got plenty more musical rabbit holes, and a few that don't involve drowning. See you in the next one!